Retro, affordable and interesting.
Fast, modern and, yes, expensive.
We're talking about our bikes here, not ourselves by the way, but equally we could be referring to our cars, as today, in addition to my lovely old Enfield, I've brought my Alfa Romeo GTV, and Henry's brought along something, well, let's just say a bit nicer.
Nice of you to turn up.
You've been waiting long?
Well, you're aware it's now Thursday.
That is a beautiful bike.
It's good, isn't it?
Why does your saddle look like a sex toy?
Why does yours look like you've got piles?
Because I'm old and I have.
There's more information than I needed, thanks very much. But
Made for the job. This is very pretty indeed. Julia, I like it a lot. I think the viewers will see where this episode is going to go. Young guy, new bike, sports car. Old guy, old bike, modern classic, as I like to call it.
Yeah, that's kind of slightly overselling it, isn't it? So you got the safety tweed on your head?
Yeah, so speed tweed this is.
It does look cool though.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. Well, we're building it for a project. We have got just one more week before we attempt to set a bit of a record with this car, and I'd be very much interested in your opinion of it.
You're going to set a record with it. So many jokes, so little time. But I suppose you want to have a go on this, do you? Yeah,
that's the real reason I'm here actually. And my bike matches your car. Have you noticed?
Yeah. Well, so mine sort of matches that actually. So
yeah. I think your bike is probably worth 3 or 4 times my car.
You've got 3 gears?
Yeah, and you know what's cool? It's hub gears, which you don't get a lot of modern bikes anymore. So this is like an early version of DSG. It sort of slurs nicely between gears as I slur nicely from pub to pub on it. You're missing cables.
This is wireless. So this is like the paddles in this, you see? You sort of one that side, one that side.
I don't trust new technology. Cables and wires, man, that's what you need.
I've noticed already the drapes don't exactly match the carpet, do they? You've got kind of different shades of red going on there.
There are, 50 shades, as they say. Yeah, we've got all variants of the spectrum. Let's see how this drives, shall we?
Let's do it.
I'll try to convince Henry of the charms of my car later, because I wasn't going to pass up the chance to see what Alfa's current offering is like on the road.
I really like this. It's very pretty, but the problem is now my expectations are very high. This is the first 3-box Alfa saloon with rear-wheel drive that I've really wanted to own in probably 20 odd years.
This is obviously Alfa sort of back to its best, really. We kind of waited a long time for Alfa to produce a really good car again, and the Giulia, almost in all its forms, is just that. I'm going to put heated seats on. Do you have heated seats in your car? I suppose it means it's on fire if you've got heated seats, isn't it?
Oh, how quickly the knives are out. So I suppose when people look at my cheapo old GTV, they're predisposed to say it's dynamically floored, knowing that it's front-wheel drive, and actually for a front-wheel drive car it drives very nicely, but it shouldn't be front-wheel drive. Alfas, to me, really need more than 4 cylinders, and I mean, this engine goes.
Yeah, we've got 280 horsepower, 295 pounds-foot of torque. I'm going to take issue with this, that sort of all Alfas should be more than 4 cylinders. The twin spark 4-cylinder engine is a delightful engine. Rorty, fabulous, naturally aspirated. Okay, so it's got turbochargers.
150 horsepower from 2 litres back then actually was pretty good, and it's a zingy thing. Okay, I'll give you that. You can have that one. And of course, prior to that, earlier Alfas back to juniors and stuff like that, they were all 4 pots, and what wonderful things they were. So yeah, I suppose we can overlook that.
We should say that this is the middle of a 3-car range basically. So you've got the basic car, then you've got this which looks more like the quadrifoglio version, and then you've got the full fat quadrifoglio version which has the V6, turbocharged V6 with 500 brake horsepower, and it's phenomenally quick and sounds great and does huge skids around corners and that sort of thing.
What is it about Alfa Romeos that make people predisposed to love them? I really can't put my finger on it. You can engineer front-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, turbocharged engines, flappy pad gearbox. Great, wonderful, wonderful. That can be engineered, that's science. What is it when you get it and think, I'm going to like this?
Part of it has to be the Italian thing, doesn't it? Back in the day, obviously, Alfa Romeo was the sort of, the principal Italian mark, was the one that won all the races for them back in the day. So that's the the halo car for Italy, I suppose. They just look beautiful as well, don't they? They really do.
They do. Before I got my slightly scabrous GTV, I did ask myself the same question. Owners would say, well, the transmission went bang and blinded my granny, but they all do that. And I did wonder, are these people sane? And then I got one, and there's stuff like airbag warning light flashing away. And at first you think, shit, my face is going to explode. And then you think, you know what? it's just a connector, and you poke around and you fix the connector, and then you think, oh, I formed a bond with it now, I fixed it. It's got my blood on its nuts and my skinned knuckles on its interior, and I've formed a connection with it that you don't get in any German showroom. I would love one of these. I would certainly take one over a 3 Series or an A4 without question. It looks interesting.
And it rides really well. So we've got the different modes down here. You've got DNA, A, no idea what that's for. N, they call it natural, everyone else calls it normal. And then D for dynamic. But you can sort of decouple the suspension as well, which works really well. And it breathes with the road, and steering's nice and accurate.
I would love it even more in 20 years when it's depreciated quite a lot, I would imagine.
Probably won't take that long, to be honest.
Maybe not. And then I can muck around with it and get it to go even quicker and play with it to my heart's content. I hate to admit it, but really it's an absolute peach, and sign me up. So, would you like to go in mine?
I'd love to go in yours, yes.
So I squeezed myself into Rich's modern classic to see if his modifications had improved the Alfa or not.
Actually, you do look like you're fit. I would wonder, because you're slightly taller than average.
If I sit up straight, if I put the sun visor down, the road's gone. I can see about sort of an inch in front of the car. Following it earlier, you've got some interesting cambers going on at the rear.
Yes.
What's that all about?
These have got very nice multi-link suspension that wears out very quickly. So the previous owner has replaced the rear wishbones, and I think they've dicked around with the camber as well, because it really does sit at the back. And what's odd is when you turn it in, being front-wheel drive, you might expect it to skip about a bit, but it actually turns in quite nicely. I think there's almost like an element of passive rear steering.
Sounds good, doesn't it?
It does sound pretty good.
I'll give it that. 220
horsepower as standard. This one now has got nitrous, which means depending on what nozzles we fiddle with,
it's got about 200.
It's now got up to 200, up to 370 on paper, but my God, you've got to be brave to use it. Weighs around 1,350 kilos, now that's what's nice about older cars, is they're light. They don't. You're not carting around tons and tons of weight. And of course, we've stripped quite a lot of weight out the back.
The steering's still quite light, isn't it, actually?
Yeah, it is.
Everyone bangs on about steering feel having gone in modern cars, but have you done anything to the suspension?
It's got uprated shocks.
Actually flowing the road pretty well. It's not crashing around, because everyone sort of thinks, you say you're sort of going to uprate the suspension, everyone assumes it's going to be slammed, and it's certainly not that.
We paid $3,000 for this, and we're going to spend roughly $2,000 to $3,000 on performance mods. And now I know you're a fan of older cars, as I am. You've got a $3,000 budget and $3,000 to spend on it.
It's strange, isn't it? Because the market has changed so much in the last sort of few years. I mean, the time would have been when I'd have said, Porsche, no questions asked. 944 would have been great. That would have been, but couldn't get that for $3,000 now, can you?
I think you'd struggle to get a good 924 for $3,000.
Quite. If you're going to tune a car, then obviously an original Audi TT. I mean, that's sort of iconic shape, really, isn't it? And that 1.8 litre turbocharged engine is always ripe for, you can get big power out of those.
Great piece of kit, but it's a Volkswagen Golf, which really now I know this is a Fiat Tipo, I know that, but it's Italian, so I can forgive it.
You got it there first before I could say that.
So the TT is a Golf in drag, and that's okay, but it's only got a 4-cylinder engine, and it's 4-wheel drive, and it's all a bit German and efficient. But they are great, and I think that'd be a good one to go to. You make my plastics creak a bit more. I think that's because you're maybe encouraging this car to flex a little more than I would.
Yeah. The clutch bite point's quite high, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. Now this has got an uprated clutch and lightened flywheel from the 3.2. They did a 3.2 version of this in like the last year or two run out. So I'd like to lower the seats as well. The seats.
Yeah, some that would be nice as well. So if a diff and some seats that kind of put you in the right position and gripped you, so you felt like you could push it through corners, would be quite nice. But this is much better than I expected. I was fully prepared to just rip this to shreds. I'm actually really quite enjoying driving this. It's lovely having a manual gearbox. I love a manual. Engine sounds great. Handling's okay. I mean, as you say, for $3,000.
But this is exactly the point. And our little test has been great fun, but we're not really comparing apples with apples, are we? Really?
No, we are certainly not. No.
So I think for the money, this is tremendous. I'm very, very pleased with it, and it goes as well as I hoped. So the engine is an absolute peach. I don't think you could have bought a better engine in a similar car of the era. Really wonderful. I would only wish that Alfa and others would make more of the same. Still going, still going. Then it kicks again. Love that. Oh,
And that's worth £3,000 on its own, isn't it, really?
It is, it is.
So sleek, modern and mechanically sound does win on paper, but if my car could put a smile on Henry's face, then I must be onto a winner.
You certainly drive a lot quicker than I do.